It's the Daily Drama Podcast with Stephen Bradford, presented by dailydrama.com. And we have as she said, she jumped on. She's the best. It's Laura Wright. Hi.
She saved the day. She saved the day here, Daily Drama.
She did. Always.
Yes.
I did it a couple days ago on the show, and I do it.
always showing up. Always
saving the day, showing up. So you're the savior now? It's not Jason, it's Laura. Carly's the savior these days?
I think so, right in the moment. Well, for Sonny, I think Jason's done enough saving, right? I think I do think
I did watch Alexis throw a gun over a bridge yesterday. Was that her?
Was that yesterday? I haven't watched it yet.
Yeah.
I heard.
So, was that the gun?
I think it was the gun.
It was very shiny.
It was it had some weight to it.
Was it the gun?
But it was awesome because then Rick and Elizabeth walked up with coffee and they're like, hey.
Look, no one's on the bridge ever. And then all of a sudden everyone's on the bridge.
It's ridiculous.
And then Alexis
goes to dinner at the same time in the same restaurant.
And then Alexis is like, my phone stopped working, so I got frustrated and threw it into the river. And they're like,
oh yeah, like everyone does that.
Did you guys know that I paid for that bridge?
Oh yeah, that was the Robin Bridge, right?
Yeah, that's the Robin and Jason original stone bridge that they deemed unsafe and they tore it down. And I paid for this bridge.
Oh, I didn't. I
just found out last week.
I found out my character's middle name when I got married for the first time. I was like, oh, so that's my whole name? I never knew that was the character's name.
What is it?
Caroline's, I don't even remember it. I'm just saying they said her name and I go, oh, that's nice.
Amazing.
It's funny because, I've been on the road and I'm like, so apparently Jason has a lot of money, right? I bought the Metro Court back for Carly.
Yeah, without blinking an eye.
I built a bridge.
Yeah.
And I live above Bobby's.
Well, that's so Jason.
I know it is.
It's so Jason,
So, the boxcar wasn't available, so I lived.
Yeah, totally. Couldn't go any lower.
Totally.
So funny.
What's going on?
You're because we've as people know we're off these 2 weeks, so you're traveling.
Yes, I had a huge girls trip planned with my best friends from high school to go to Florida, and we've been planning it for 6 months, but my one of my dear friends' father passed away, who was coming with us, and two of the girls going, it was their father peacefully in his sleep. It was but that just changed the girls' trip from Florida to where I grew up in Maryland, so we're all here together anyway. Wow. So it's just here instead of there. And Steve, I was thinking about you because this afternoon, as soon as I'm done, I'm going to get Maryland crabs. And I know that you're so wishing you were here to go eat crabs with me.
There's nothing better he likes to do than work hard to eat.
Really?
Totally.
That huge payoff.
I was talking all about the crabs and we get to the restaurant and Steve was like, I need a steak or I need a chicken breast. I think you ordered a chicken breast. You were like,
You ordered a bunch of stuff. Me and Jeremy were like, this is way too much work for nothing.
Amazing.
And she was talking it up the whole time before.
I never said it was filling. I just
before the BFF tour. We're gonna have crab and this, and I'm like, no, this is not great. Like literally talking about because we drove across the country basically.
Yeah, that was a trip.
And so all she talked about was this crab, and it was like it was like a freaking pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, and it was not.
Well, at that point, didn't you have a boot on your foot? Did you crack the? You
had a boot.
Crack the crab with like just putting your foot on the table.
Yeah. Well, it was funny too because I broke my foot. We weren't supposed to be driving. All of our flights got canceled because of weather. So I mean, it just became one thing. And then asked Steve about getting stuck in the Holland Tunnel when we were trying to get into New York City. He was going to leave us. And I'm like, wait, I have one foot. How do I get out? Like, it was crazy.
You were going to get out of I think if you get out of your car in the Holland Tunnel and walk, that's like I think that's a misdemeanor or something.
It was determined the moment that we had determined that we were never getting out. It was like we had created this story in our heads that we were never getting out and we needed to run for our lives.
And you know what's interesting?
Jeremy said he would have taken care of me and helped me.
So what's interesting is now since I've quit drinking, I don't get that anxiety anymore.
Oh, I'm sure.
Which is interesting because sometimes I would get it on the plane, Brad. Remember when I would wake up, I'd be in the window. I'd be like, you better change seats with me right now or I'm taking this whole plane down.
Oh, Jesus.
you know, and then we're in the tunnel. I go, okay, I'm walking.
We were in there for a while, and then we see the big, like some big machine come through, and we're like, oh my God, we're all going down.
We're all
Wow.
dead.
Gonna die. And Steve's like, guys, I'm out. And I'm like, I can't walk. And Jeremy's like, I got you. I'll carry you. And we had a whole plan.
That's true.
Wow.
That was
Amazing. Yeah.
how we entertain ourselves, and the real stories behind all of these events are.
I know, it's
No
crazy.
kidding. I know. It's always an adventure. So,
Yes.
okay. So now that, sorry to jump into storyline, but
No,
now that,
no.
now that there's a couple,
Let's do
now that there's a couple slugs in the chest of, Jim Jingleheimer, does that mean you guys are like scot-free? Is there anybody else in law enforcement behind him that is trying to like get leverage on you guys, or is that done? Are we?
Well, I think that part's done, but all that does is take you on to like the who did it, right?
The who did what?
A federal agent has been murdered.
Oh, well, but everybody saw it happen, right?
Yes, but except the Fort Charles Police Department and the FBI.
So now it's dealing with closing the ranks.
Right. And so I did not know when Sonny asked me to be an alibi. I was like, okay, but what did you do? But there wasn't enough time. He's like, we got to go downstairs. And I'm like, okay. And so we go down there. And then I realized he's making everyone think we had sex, which I'm like, what the hell?
Wait.
Right.
Yes.
What?
Yes. Right.
Right.
Yeah, that was me.
Like,
that was me.
Well, that's the only scenario anyone's really going to buy. And I thought that was a funny, when we were shooting that, I thought that was so funny because it was Carly's like, oh yeah, like that's true.
Yeah.
It's not like I haven't done that before.
Yes.
And then the fallout of that is what's next is that,
Sure.
you know, I think they saw, no, at the end of today's episode, they'll see that somebody shows up who's devastated by the decision of Carly sleeping with Sonny. And it's, Carly didn't really think that, you know, it's like, oh my God, this is not good. Like, you know, and I don't want this. And it's like and it's so funny that a lot of people online have posted the last time I did this with Steve. It was when you came to Carly and said, you got to do this. And we got married in the courtroom, and it was more funny, but it didn't really have the consequences of other people's lives so much involved. So
Yeah.
I do like the, but we haven't had a scene about it yet. Have we, Steve? Like, I don't think we've had a scene about it.
No, we haven't.
Which is interesting. Oh, because we're trying to save, you know, other people.
Yeah, because I think, you know, with Bradford's question, what came to mind for me was I'm not, because we don't know what's happening and it hasn't been written yet, but there's something with Brennan, something's brewing. It feels like that to me.
With Carly and Brennan?
Well, Carly and Brennan and him trying to get me to work for the WSB.
Yeah. For sure.
So it feels like something's there. I'm not sure yet if we are going down that road, but what is besides, you know, Carly's body, what does Brennan want?
My charming personality. I don't know. As far as Carly goes, I mean, she is, you know, a connection to two of the most powerful people that he wants in his pocket, you know, Sonny and Jason. And she's the main connection. Like, you know, all he did was have to call me to his office, and Jason shows up thinking there's a problem, wanting to save her. He knows he's got that. I'm sure. I think Charlie would say differently. I think he feels that his character is very smitten with Carly, and there's actually more innocence to that, like a true like attractiveness to who she is. But you know that he's new. I'm like, that sounds great and all, but you gotta go, like, you know, there's got to be an ulterior motive because of the nature of the beast of being an agent to the WSB. So you know, I would think that. I don't know. I have the stuff with the Brennan stuff's kind of a little bit, but you know, the whole Lulu stuff becomes very big, and then there's, you know, I'm assuming
are those tied together in any way? No, right? That's a separate thing.
Brennan stuff.
Yeah.
The Lulu Brennan stuff. It does kind of. You'll see.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Yes, there is some stuff coming up.
Okay.
But it's a great. It all works out. I'm just wondering. This, and then the Sonny stuff is definitely at play. Like that's definitely still there because Diane shows up and yells at us for even thinking of like coming up with this ridiculousness.
Well,
Which is all fun. That's all happens today. So everything that airs today is with Diane and Carly and Sonny, and it's very funny and real, you know.
one of the questions from our friends at Daily Drama is, will Nina definitely throw a wrench in Carly and Sonny's plan to cover up Sonny's crime?
I don't know, but that would be fun because then I get to work with Cynthia more. But
Sure.
you know, I definitely think it would be interesting if Nina, you know, would be an issue because she was there and she assumes that we slept together. Which that's the one part that Carly doesn't care about. She's like, whatever, you can eat it because
Right.
I don't care.
Does Carly know about Drew and Willow?
No, I don't think anyone does, but Nina a little bit.
Sure.
No, and I don't, as of this day, I do not know. So
Right.
if Carly finds out, I have no idea.
Right. What do you, how would you imagine she would feel about that?
I don't think she'd be very happy. I think she would. Well, you know, that would be a hard one because Carly would lose her, you know.
Yes.
But to do that on Katie is because she's so sweet and she's so a willow, you know. She's
right.
So I'd have to be careful on that one because I would want to just flatten her and she's the sweetest, kindest, like even the character is. I think she'd be more like, what the hell, Drew? Right? Like, are you out of your mind? That's my son's wife, you predator. Yeah. Like, you know, Carly would, I'm assuming there's not a lot of understanding in that area.
Because Carly and Drew have a little bit of a history, right?
Yeah, they were together.
Right.
Like, you know, full on together.
Drew's just making his rounds.
Like, he really is getting himself in trouble. And no, I can't imagine Carly would be happy about that at all. And I can imagine that Jason would have to pull her back. Right?
Oh,
yeah.
I mean, you guys know Carly would lose her mind.
Listen, every fan knows how Carly would react when she finds out.
And Michael's like her baby. So anything that happens to Michael, it would be like.
Well, he is a baby.
He is a baby.
And is he blissfully unaware? Is Michael like? Do you know what I'm saying?
He's
like
covering up his dad's. He watched Sonny shoot Jagger, and so he's a little distracted right now. So if there's a time for someone to swoop in, it would be now.
Well, it was unfortunately it was before.
I know. Well, some of it, right? Or no, it all just has been. It's all been ongoing. I don't know. I don't know his.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what Michael's doing in life. So, is he still doing? Is he still CEO of ELQ?
I don't know. I don't know. He, you know, I don't know. Sometimes he's so fidgety on set. I don't know what he's doing.
I mean, this dude's he's in a coloring book, drinking a juice box, just running CEO. ELQ. I don't know what's happening.
Yeah, and I feel like Ned's next to him, kicking his feet in the high chair. Oh my God, they would be dying laughing if they were here.
Yes.
But yeah. So I think I don't know. I have great stuff with. What I gotta tell people what to get excited for. Great stuff with Maurice. Great stuff with Eden. Fun stuff with Steve. Steve and I were laughing the other day. We were on set and we were doing something and doing a scene. And I was supposed to say a line that didn't make sense. And I'm like, I don't know why I would say that. And then we find out a minute later, because we tape out of order, we have a whole show of what that whole line meant. And I'm like, I looked at you and I go, did you read yet? I haven't read. I'm like, oh shit, we got to start reading these scripts because we tape so far out of order and there's so much to do that.
Because it was a big deal, actually.
It was a big deal.
And it was just one line?
One line she was referring to.
I was going to cut that wouldn't have mattered that much, but it was but it wasn't just the line. It was everything behind the line, like the emotion behind it.
Yeah. It was like 5 scenes that, you know, that line meant everything for 5 scenes that we didn't shoot yet. And we didn't read it yet.
Right.
Sure.
And because it was so much out of order and we have so much that we're doing in that day. Sometimes it's just your brain can't handle it. You know, sometimes you're like, I didn't want to read ahead because I'm still trying to figure out today. Right.
Of course.
Like,
yeah.
And that was, thank God, like the producers were like, no, you do a whole show of this. And I'm like, oh, thank you. And we just started cracking up laughing like, oh my God, we should do better.
Totally.
I was just happy I wasn't alone and that you didn't like had read it and I was out.
You knew that answer already.
Yeah, totally.
Did you read? Never mind.
You shook your head and I just like, never. And poor Charles, we're in the scene with Charles who plays Brennan and he's like, when you're new, you've got to learn backwards and forwards and you've read to the next week. And so he's looking at us like we're crazy because we don't even know what's happening. I felt bad for him.
All right.
In regards to you and Jocelyn, like, what is that? I mean, because she's still super anti Sonny,
Yes.
and so that's a point of contention, I imagine.
Yes. Yes.
Right. And like, what is there to overcome there? What is Carly just trying to convince her otherwise, or where do you meet?
Well, I mean, what do you say to that?
Yeah, right.
Like, I mean, that's the beautiful thing about this decision in the moment to save Sonny. Once again, the fallout of all the people who watched Carly really go through him choosing Nina over her.
Yeah.
And all of that. And then these people who love Carly and support her are like, you did what? And that's what's so great about it, right? Like, because what I have nothing to say. It's the but and then you can't say the truth, right? Because then they become an accomplice.
Sure.
And you can't ask people to lie. And so, and then, but why would you ever even agree to what you did? And it's like that hurdle of that conflict of how Sonny's her family always, and then no one's ever going to understand that. And that's all I got for you. Like the only other person that gets it is Jason.
Does he know the truth though?
That's true.
Does Jason know
the truth?
I don't.
We haven't had that scene.
We haven't had a scene
really
about
bizarre. It, so. The greatest part of that scene would be where I say I'm going to go turn him in, and stopping me. That would be very much a Jason Carly thing where you tell me like you will go to jail then. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's like we're already in here. We're already in it. You know.
Right. I mean, would Jason, Steve, do you think at this point, if hearing the story that Sonny and Carly slept together, how would that affect Jason?
Oh no! Oh, he doesn't. He knows that we didn't sleep together.
Oh, he does know that? That's what I was asking.
Carly would tell Jason, you know that I'm only said that to.
Okay,
like,
yeah.
Jason would know the whole thing. It would be more that I put myself in trouble by becoming an alibi.
We just, in theory, got out of trouble. Now you're getting yourself in trouble again.
Right. That's where. Oh, but
that's what
Carly would be the first to say, Jason, I did not do that.
Right.
Don't you think so, Steve?
Yeah. Yeah. Immediately.
Well, and Jason would know. You would be like, you did not do that. You're lying for him. Like, you would know. Like, the whole thing. But so yeah, but we've never even had that conversation. I don't think, have we? I don't think we. Yeah.
No.
Or maybe
again, there's been a lot going on.
Well, maybe and maybe you don't. Maybe they assume that conversation would that doesn't need to happen because it's assumed that you.
Well, they also assume it's off camera, because we're so much of
Okay, but so how much percentage do you think Carly holds Sonny responsible for, going to Nixon Falls, turning into Cowboy Sonny for a little while, then he was Mike, and and then the whole Nina thing, and then so what's really the percentage? Is he 100% responsible?
I don't think he's responsible until he came back and knew who he was.
Okay, good. There you go. Yeah.
I don't. I think because a car was a crash on a bridge. The guy's gone. Wakes up not knowing who he is, and until he hits his head again, which I loved that scene where he told her to go to hell and all that stuff. No, responsible. We all were like, oh my God. But the second he came back and just, it was even nice to her. Like, I remember the scenes that you had with him, I think at the gravesite, where you said, well, I'm mad at you. And you go, you're not mad enough.
Mm.
You're not, so I do find him, I think it's a great story for him to have the conflict, that's what makes it so, right? Story as writing wise and storyline wise, I love that he came back conflicted, because, you got to be able to evolve story and keep it moving for 60 years. But
it's just interesting. The whole Sonny, Jason, Carly dynamics, very interesting.
Yes.
Just always loyal, always family.
What do you think of that?
I think it's amazing.
Yeah, I do too.
I think it's awesome.
Is with this story that you guys need to kind of protect for your alibi and your innocence, having kind of back in each other's orbit? I mean, what if you guys end up in the bath again? Is that possible?
What do you mean, like Carly and Sonny back together?
That's what I mean.
I don't see that. Like, here's the thing. I get that all the time when I go to a fan event.
Sure.
And they go, you had to go back to him. And I was like, would you tell your daughter to go back to him after he cheated on her? Would you actually tell your daughter to go back to the man that cheated on her? And I said, and not that it can't ever happen. I said, but he's got to crawl, beg, plead. I mean, are you kidding me?
Sure.
It would have to be a story that really worked, because if, as much as you tore it down,
Right.
that would have to be, if that were to happen, because
Right.
For me, I actually love being exes. I love the story that because when Carly and Sonny are exes, he always tries to control her life, and they bicker and fight, and that's a fun dynamic to have.
Absolutely.
And then and then Jason always has to come and like break us up when we get in a fight. Like it's our toxic dynamic. But as far as her getting back together with him and being all in as his wife, where she was, I don't see that right now.
Sure.
I mean, you never say never. We're on a soap opera, so but that's kind of hard for me. I just I don't know. Steve, help me out. What do you think?
Well, you said something that made me think. The interesting thing is these three. It's not really even what's happening externally. You know that they will do anything for each other, and that's really the kryptonite.
Right. For sure.
Right. The fact that I basically gave up two plus years of my life for Carly.
Right.
That people know that I would have done it for Sonny.
And now she just became an alibi for.
And then you would do it. Like
Harvey.
you'd be just, you know what I mean? So it's interesting. It's like, that's really the kryptonite, is that there is so much loyalty and love for this family that will do anything, and that's really the interesting part of it, I think.
And it's like, we have so many people that go, oh, that's terrible. And I'm like, yeah, we're not saying it's right.
No, right.
It's very unhealthy. But it makes for fantastic conflict in all of our other relationships, like
Absolutely.
It's built-in conflict that we don't have to manufacture, any of it.
Yeah, it's interesting because being on the road and doing a Q&A again, it is, I guess, toxic in some way, but man,
but
people just
beautiful, right? Because people bail and leave, and what they want is that person that has their back, their ride or die. Like these three are their true ride or dies.
That's true, and that's what people want. They want that loyalty, somebody they know will be there 24/7, any minute, any second.
Well, and Jason's loyalty to Carly is fascinating. Like being held by the FBI aside, but just in their day-to-day life, he didn't act like she didn't have flaws. He was the first to say, this is what you do because you're scared. He understood how, when she would lose it or say things she shouldn't or get afraid and lash out, it was, I know why you do what you do. You don't have to be afraid. And he went to why she was acting the way she was, instead of just like getting mad at her for what she does.
Yeah, it's interesting. Jason was very stoic without me even knowing what stoicism was at that point.
Right.
It's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Really, if you think about it, because, you operate how you operate because of your past and past experiences.
Sure.
Carly does.
Yeah. Well, and me too.
Hey,
we all do. Yeah. Yeah.
Because, out in coaching now, I say, just look at the source, right? You can't expect high output from low frequency.
For
right.
Sure.
So we know how Carly is going to react majority of the time.
Right.
So you get to choose, do I respond to it negatively or do I just roll with it?
Right. And it's funny that, it's like, again, like when people are like, oh, he just puts up with whatever she does. I'm like, it's not put up with. It's he understands and knows that, gosh, if she didn't have Jason as a friend, it could be 1,000 times worse because she'd have no one to tell her to count to 10, no one to so it's like, and that's just that dynamic of the three of them. So, everyone, and Jason, I would say the thing that what I understand about the Jason Carly relationship, being the fourth Carly to play, that when Carly met Jason, it was at a time when no one in the Quartermaines accepted him because they wanted who he used to be back.
Mm-hmm.
And she was the one who loved everything about him for who he was in this moment. Yeah. And for then at that point, I think that was probably huge for the character of Jason to have someone accept him and the man he chose to be at the time.
Yeah. And I think that changes perspective on, not having to put up with Carly, getting to.
Yes.
Right. You get to because this woman loves you no matter what.
No matter what.
and will die for you.
Die for you.
And
Yep.
when nobody else would.
Mhm.
And look, this is what's interesting. It was you and Sonny.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
When everybody else
When
was
it really
pushing-
needed to be.
when everybody
that's
else is
just
pushing
it, like,
Jason
yeah.
away,
Yeah.
it was 100% acceptance and love,
Right.
even though, you know, Sonny's a criminal.
Well, then he wouldn't die for us. We always
No, he
joke,
wouldn't.
like,
Yeah, that's true. That's true. That's true.
when my foot was broke and Carly and Sonny got married,
That's true.
I show up to the studio and I'm supposed to walk down the stairs and we had to change all the blocking because I
remember this.
Yes. And so I'm like, okay, so I would start to walk, like take a step, and then they'd fade to me already at the aisle. Like they had to cut out any walking. I'm sitting next to Maurice. I'm in a wheelchair. He's standing there. It's where I will be standing in a minute. And he looks at me and he goes, "You're going to stand?" And I was like, "Yeah." He goes, "What if you fall?" I'm like, "Well, can you help me? Can you hold me up a little bit?" And he's like, "Okay, yeah, okay." And he was horrified that he might have to help me. Where I think I had to slow dance with you, like for Carl. And I was like, "You're like, oh, I got you. I'll just hold you here. Can we just sit?" And I was like, "Thank you, Steve." Maurice, I'm gonna fall out of frame, and Maurice is gonna watch me like, "Oh shit, have I
Like,
done
whoa.
something?"
So
Amazing.
funny.
Amazing.
So funny.
It's
Yeah.
fun. We do have a blast for sure.
Oh my God, we belly laugh all the time.
I know. It's
But
great.
no, and here's the thing. What I love, I want to make sure it's known, is that just because Carly and Sonny and Jason have each other's back, ride or die, no matter what, it doesn't mean that because the other characters don't, that there's something wrong with them, right? Like they actually have their boundaries. They have other responsibilities. Like, you know, Elizabeth is a nurse. She has incredible children. And I love the characters, Elizabeth's boundaries of like, she's responsible for other people at her job. She has children at home. And the few times that she's, not that she doesn't love Jason, but that she's tip-tapped into the world of being someone's ride or die, no matter what, it's got to burn, right? Like she sees the consequences to those are not worth it to her for her kids and her family. And that's what makes Elizabeth amazing Elizabeth, right?
Right.
Like, it's
Fair
not
enough.
like Carly being Jason's ride or die, no matter what, is a great thing. It just is.
Sure.
Right. Like,
Yeah.
you know,
I mean,
like,
there's definitely consequences to it.
yeah. I mean, look at it. Like, there are huge consequences to being that. And vice versa. Like Jason, you know, the heartbreak that you have to do to other people when you know that they're right, telling you not to save this person, but you save them anyway. Like, there lies the beautiful conflict in acting and having storytelling and everything.
And that's the interesting thing too about the consequences, because most of the time we don't get busted, we're not going to jail, all these things.
Right.
But the emotional consequences that it takes on the characters and the toll of it.
Yes.
I mean, that's worse. To
It
me,
is.
that emotional
and I
the
love
emotional
playing
trauma.
that.
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean,
You know, it's great.
That's what gives it such depth, you know.
Right.
And that's why, because we've done it so long,
right,
you know, that the deepness is just there.
Right. Oh yeah, we don't have to
without
like,
even saying anything.
It's a knowing.
It's just there.
Right.
That's what's a beautiful thing about our genre, right? It's like we get to live this for so long, and then the fans get to live it with us. So we don't even have to say a word, and they already know.
They know. Yeah.
And that's what's so freaking cool about doing this, is they know with one look. One look, they know everything. It told a whole story. And I get goosebumps right now because it's amazing. It's amazing.
Well, and we get to and we're so lucky that, you know, when and it's like you and me, you and Bradford, Maurice, like, you know, you work with the people that, you know, that if I look at you, I know I got you. I know you're looking at me, and they got those shots, because that is, the looks are everything. Totally. You don't have to say it. And you guys have the same thing with your characters. Like, the character of Spinelli, like all in with Jason. Like, what do you need? The great thing about Spinelli's character is that he has to say physically, and his body and his mouth, like all the what ifs, but at the end of the day, he still does it.
Yeah.
So you get him going through all of his, like, oh my God, it's gonna, you know, he gets to say it out loud.
That's true.
And like you get, and through physicality, as well as like your colorful dialogue. Which
he says the quiet part out loud all the time.
You make a good point, because, you know, you're just like, yeah, I'll do it. And Spinelli's like, going down the laundry list of why he shouldn't, but he's like, okay, I'll do
I'm
it.
all in.
Right.
Right, totally.
Right.
And then so it's like, you know, and that's the other beautiful ride or die, right? Like
Yeah,
it's
totally.
like, you know, not everyone goes in blind, like Harley, but that's all right. That's what makes characters.
I
Right?
know. It's awesome though. It's
Yeah.
awesome.
No, we're lucky. We're
Indeed.
very lucky.
That's amazing. Well, thank you for
Thank
this.
you. Thank
So
you
cool.
so much. Enjoy
Oh
the
my
rest of your
God,
rest of your time off.
I'll
mean,
see you. I think I see you Monday, Steve.
I'll see you all next week.
Okay.
All
Awesome.
right.
Bye. Bye,
All
guys.
right.
Well,
Have a
bye,
great
Bye.
day.
fans.
Thank
Bye,
you.
Amazing
Bye.
Thank you.
General
Thank you.
Hospital
Thank you.
fans.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.